What's going on, NBA 2K fans? This is Pete Toll, aka PT Sports 84, back with another video. 2K officially dropped the 10th rating update today. Today is April 11th, 2023. Going to break down the changes. Couple players added in to the game finally that were on the end of the season, regular season rosters. Some more or less role players getting updated throughout is more so what this update was about. What's up, big man Sam? Hope you're doing well. Um, they basically took into account the games from March 22nd, which was the day before the last rating update. As everybody may or may not be aware of, 2K doesn't count games that were played the day before a roster update. So in that case, it released on Thursday, the 23rd of March. They didn't count the games from Wednesday. So what happens is they then calculate from Wednesday's games, the 22nd, all the way through the end of the season. They waited to get those ratings in. This year, they got an extra roster update in. Last year, they ended it with 9 roster updates. Last year, they ended on March 31st. This year, they decided to wait till the end of the season and make sure they got some of those kind of fringe players that may or may not have had good performances to get those in. So, without further ado, let's jump into the roster and dive into who kind of went up or down. I'm going to throw in some thoughts on some other players as well, like who I thought maybe could have got a little bump. But let's jump into it. So, first and foremost, Dwayne Dedman drops -2 to a 74. Dedman basically is averaging 4 points, 4 rebounds in 13 minutes over the 5 games played. Not really a big impact. Doc Rivers prefers him, but luckily he's been playing Paul Reed a lot more lately. Let's see if that lasts into the playoffs. I'm not sure. Next, we had Jaden Springer. Springer averaged 4 points on 47% field goal percentage, 67% from 3 in 8 minutes over 6 games. That's, I guess, why he got the bump. What's going on, DDT? If anybody else chimed in, sorry I missed you. I'm trying to go back and forth with my list that I threw together and then the screen, so I apologize if I missed anything. Mac McClung, he gets an upgrade. He goes to I forgot to give the ratings. I am off 74 for Dwayne Dedman. Jaden Springer goes +1 to a 71. Mac McClung goes +2 to a 69. He averaged 13 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 45% field goal percentage, 36 from 3 in 21 minutes over the last 3 games, and that's how he got the little bump there. Milwaukee Bucks. Myers Leonard really got a big chance to perform for the Bucks after getting signed, after obviously the tumultuous incident and injuries that he had, the incident with the racial slur, all that stuff. Impactful as far as a backup big when they needed it, because they rested Giannis and variable players throughout, so he got a chance to play. Meanwhile, he goes a +1, 6 points per game, 7 rebounds, 40% field goal percentage in 21 minutes over 3 games. That got him the bump to 72. We've got some upper tier players. Chris Middleton goes back +1. He's turned it around. Performing well before that injury. He's basically on maintenance. We'll see how he does when the playoffs come. That's what hurt the Bucks last year, him being hurt. He didn't get to play in that series, and then the Bucks obviously lost. He goes +1 to an 86. Drew Holiday +1 to an 88. 19 points a game, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 54% field goal percentage, 45% from 3 in 29 minutes over 8 games. So He's definitely going to be in NBA defense, I believe, or he at least should be. So that's the Milwaukee Bucks. Chicago Bulls. DeMar DeRozan drops. He struggled, 87 overall, -1. 18 points a game, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 44% field goal percentage in 33 minutes over 9 games. Struggled kind of with a injury, so to speak. So we'll see what happens. Going forward, I don't think he's going to be a power forward. I think they hopefully address that in the offseason. We'll see. He's now tied with Zach LaVine for an 87 overall, which is best on the team. Nikola Vucevic, +1 to an 84, 17 points a game, 9 rebounds, 58% field goal percentage, 33% from 3 in 28 minutes over 11 games. Definitely deserved the bump, +1. Then we've got Kobe White, who's been really performing well over the last 6 weeks. He goes +1 to a 76, 14 points a game, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 52% from the floor, 42% from 3 in 28 minutes a game. So deserved there. I thought that Ayu Dosunmu could have bumped up one, but 2K thought different. I thought Dosunmu's defense ability to come in and help that way he should have deserved a 75 more than a 74, but rather here or there. We'll see what happens with Lonzo Ball, likely out for all of next season. They've got to address the point guard spot overall. Yes, they have Patrick Beverley, but I wouldn't be shocked to see Patrick Beverley go to a real contender in the offseason. We'll see. Cleveland Cavaliers, only 2 changes for them. Donovan Mitchell, +1 to a 92 overall, 37 points a game, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 55% from the floor, 46% from 3 in 38 minutes. The last 4 games that he played, he averaged 42 points a game on 58% field goal and 49 from 3. Then all the way down to the bottom, Isaiah Mobley, +1 to a 70, 7 points a game, 3 rebounds, 39% field goal percentage, 40 from 3, in 18 minutes over 3 games. You can tell a pattern here. 2K was trying to clean up some of the lower tier non-rotation guys to get them a little bump late in the season, since they got basically the end of the season, last 3 games, garbage playing time. Now they actually got a chance, or normal garbage playing time. Now they actually got a chance to play. Transaction note for the Celtics: they added Justin Champagnie to the roster, so there he is. Let's go back up to the top. Jason Tatum, +1 to a 95, 30 points a game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 56% from the floor, 43% from 3 in 31 minutes per game. Robert Williams III gets bumped down -1 to an 83, 6.7 rebounds, 77% from the floor in 21 minutes. Defense has been down a little bit, but I think that's just due to timing coming back from injury. We'll see. +1 for Malcolm Brogdon. He's kind of went +1, -1 all year, but +1 here to an 83. 19 points a game, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 49% field goal percentage, 38% from 3 in 28 minutes a game. And then we also have Sam Hauser, +1 to a 75, 9 points a game, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 48% field goal percentage, 43% from 3 in 21 minutes a game over the last 9 games. Peyton Pritchard, I thought, deserved a little bump since he performed well the last couple games. I don't know what their infatuation is with Blake Griffin, but there's no way Blake Griffin should be a 75. Along with Hauser and Muscala. Basically, he is overinflated there. I'm going to go back real quick to the Sixers just to show off the ratings here for anybody that's interested. I always forget to do that. No matter how many times I write it on my sheet in big bold letters, flip over to the ratings, I always forget. So I do apologize, but here are the ratings for the teams that I already went over, so that way you can see them, pause the video, whatever you want to do. Speaking of the video, please hit that like button if you don't mind. That really helps me. you know, really, really trying to get my, content out there. I know not a lot of people really get into the roster stuff, but I appreciate those that watch and do get into those. So um, this probably will be the last ratings update for the year, unless they do some playoff performers, big performers. You might see a couple scattered ratings here or there. If we do, I of course will have a video out for that. But all right, so that wraps up the Celtics. Let's jump over to the LA Clippers. Russell Westbrook really has, turned it around since being in LA. Yeah, man, big man Sam, Kawhi, man, that stinks. Kawhi's been really turning it around. I give him all the kudos in the world coming back from that injury. Really managed that well enough to keep ready for the playoffs. And they're going to need it going against Phoenix for sure. But Russell Westbrook, +1 to an 81, 19 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, 52% from the floor, 46% from three, and 31 minutes over 9 games. So really looking good there. Siobhan, it just depends. John Marcus, the real 2K insider, is the better person to go to for the badges. Usually what he'll do underneath my post on Operation Sports, he will post the badge changes for different players. I'm not as well versed in the badges because I didn't log that info. For those that aren't aware, he has a spreadsheet of his own personal edits and logs all that info. If you're interested, hit him up on Twitter. It's John Markish. You can find his content on YouTube as well. Not sure if he's doing videos or not. I think he plans to, but not quite sure, but definitely hit him up. -1 for Mason Plumlee to an 80 overall, 6 points, 5 rebounds in 19 minutes on 74% field goal percentage. Terrence Mann drops 1 to a 77, 8 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 43% field goal percentage, 41 from 3 in 24 minutes over 9 games. Now, here's where I have a little issue. Nick Batum's still a 74, despite being the starting power forward. At least get him to a 75 to match Marcus Morris. And then what is Brandon Boston doing at a 74? If you go over to his intangibles rating, you'll see it's a 98. They could bump that back down to a 60, and he'd be a 72 like he should be. Those are the kind of details that I hope 2K can clean up next year to make sure that the rotation players are in line with where they're supposed to be. Also going up is Robert Covington, +1 to a 77 overall. His defense has been invaluable to the team. I thought Eric Gordon could go up, but he didn't. So it's what it is. Memphis Grizzlies. We have Ja Morant dropping down. He goes -1 to a 92 overall. Desmond Bane goes +1 to an 85, while Jaren Jackson Jr. Goes +1 to an 87. We got Dylan Brooks +1 to a 79. Luke Kennard +2 to a 77. He's been really shooting it well. Led the NBA in 3-point percentage for a player over 400 attempts. I'm not going to dive into, unless it's like a big name player, dive into the stats. I think that's going to take too long for this video. So I apologize for not continuing that, but I just think that diving into every single player might take a little bit too long. Don't want to make the video extra long. But Jaren Jackson Jr., I will dive into. 24 points a game, 8 rebounds, 3 blocks, 55% from the floor, 44% from 3, and 31 minutes over 9 games. That's impressive. A lot of people say that he might get shorted for Defensive Player of the Year because of games played. Brook Lopez deserves it. I saw a couple people put Evan Mobley on that list. That was an interesting one. We'll see. Last rating change for the Grizzlies. Kenneth Lofton Jr. obviously had the 42-point performance to end the year. Got converted to a standard contract. He goes +2 to a 72. Averaged 9 and 4 on 57% from the floor, 33% from 3 in 13 minutes over 8 games. Transaction for them, Jacob Gilyard gets added to the game on a 2-way contract. So there he is. He's more of a pass-first scoring guard, so he can shoot threes and really pass it well. Get steals pretty well, too. So Maybe a good person to have a good flyer on going forward for the summer. We'll see if he sticks next season. Atlanta Hawks, real quick, going to go from the bottom. Position changes for Tyrese Martin to small forward, Garrison Matthews to shooting guard. Garrison Matthews does go, Garrison Matthews gets a increase +1 to a 73 overall. Now going back up to the top of the roster. We'll see what they do. The report came out that Trae Young may get traded. I think that would be better for the franchise, honestly, because you can get some pieces back. Trae just looks disinterested, even under Quinn Snyder. We'll see. But Aneka Kongwu goes +1 to an 81. We get some increases here, or get an increase for Jalen Johnson. He actually goes +2 to a 76. He is a favorite of Quinn Snyder, playing a point forward role, brings it up a good bit, can go in score in transition and things like that. So that's the Atlanta Hawks ratings. Real quick, for those that aren't aware, Haywood Highsmith finally gets a face scan in the game. There he is with an official face scan from 2K. Ratings changes for the team. We have Kyle Lowry going +1 to a 77 overall. Max Strus +1 to a 76 overall. Also got a position change to small forward. We have Victor Oladipo's position updated to shooting guard. Now it's Gabe Vincent starting with Lowry as the backup point guard, so that's why that change happened. And last but not least, Cody Zeller to a 75 overall. Yes, Udonis Haslem had a great final game, 24 points and all that stuff, but considering he didn't play all year, I didn't see the need for 2K to really update that other than, just saying, hey, we'll throw you a bone and do you a +1. But, other than that, nothing warranted there, in my opinion, for Haslam, who didn't play before that final game very much. Going over to the Charlotte Hornets, I thought it was time for PJ Washington to get a bump, but he did not. Johnny Sand, no likeness update other than Haywood Highsmith. We got an update for Shvi Mikhailuk, +2 to a 74. He had been starting at small forward lately. We have JT Thor, +3 to a 72 overall. And then Kobe Simmons goes +2 to a 68 overall. I believe he was a 68 overall. I marked that down as 68 overall because I had previously had him at 66. I hope that was correct. If not, I apologize. Utah Jazz, only some small number of changes. As you can see, the changes aren't very many for these teams. Utah Jazz, Talen Horton-Tucker, +1 to a 79 overall. Chris Dunn, +1 to a 76 overall. Dunn is definitely somebody they need to keep for next year. And then we got a transaction for them. Vernon Carey Jr. added to the roster going forward. Still have him at a 73. I don't agree with that. I think he should be a 70 overall. He's been terrible. He's somebody that I don't think is going to make it in the league moving forward. Just my opinion. We go over to the Sacramento Kings. Only one change for them. -1 to a 77 overall for Trey Lyles. Lyles has struggled lately, so that's that. New York Knicks. We'll see how they perform without Julius Randle to start the playoffs. Maybe could be better for them because Randle takes them a lot out of their offense. He goes -1 to an 87 overall. Now tied with Jalen Brunson for top on the team. Quentin Grimes goes +2 to a 78 overall. We also have Obi Toppin +1 to a 77 overall. And then Isaiah Roby gets added to the roster there. I thought that guys like Rose and Sims could drop, but the 2K decided not to. Lakers, no drop for LeBron James. Surprise, surprise. We did get an increase +2 for Austin Reeves to an 81 overall. Only rating change for the team. No change for Mo Bamba, who's overrated. We do get Tristan Thompson and Shaquille Harrison properly added to the roster, though. Orlando Magic, only one change for them. We have Cole Anthony getting bumped to an 80 overall, +1. Dallas Mavericks, what a poor showing that was for them to end the season. Uh, Basically tanked so they wouldn't make the play-in to keep their draft pick. We'll see what they do with it. Likely trade that draft pick, I'd assume, especially if it's 10 or higher. They should be able to get a piece or two veteran laden. Then we got to see what happens with Kyrie. Does he go back to Dallas? Obviously the money is there for him. Sign and trade could happen, but I don't see to where. We'll see what happens. Maybe if the Clippers get bounced early, they could trade some pieces and go get Kyrie. He still ends up in LA, just not with the Lakers. But let's see. Look at the ratings updates. -1 for Reggie Bullock to a 77. +1 for Jaden Hardy to a 77. Josh Green goes -1 to a 76. And then Theo Pinson gets a +2 to a 72. Pinson also gets a position change back to small forward, while Markieff Morris gets a position change back to center. Brooklyn Nets, they are facing my 76ers. I think it'll be either a sweep or 5 games. We'll see what happens. We'll see. I'm not going to count Brooklyn out, but I think my Sixers are just the better team, barring any kind of major injury to Harden or Embiid. But we'll see. Spencer Dinwiddie goes +1 to an 83 overall. Cam Thomas goes +1 to a 78 overall. And then way down here, Patty Mills goes -1 to a 74 overall. Raekwon Gray, good performance in his only game to end the season. He's somebody I think they keep for next year, definitely on the roster, probably on a two-way as you see him here. Drew Smith got a position change to shooting guard, while David Duke Jr. got a position change to small forward. Going over to the Denver Nuggets, they'll be interesting. They had the worst bench in the NBA, in my opinion. We'll see how they fare in the playoffs. We don't know who they're playing yet, so we'll see. Could be Minnesota, could be New Orleans, could be OKC. We'll see what happens, because I think the Lakers are destined for the 7th seed to play Memphis, just my opinion. But we shall see, who gets that 8th spot. It'll be interesting. Ratings changes for them. +1 for Bruce Brown. And then all the way down here, we have Peyton Watson +1. He's been in the rotation lately. So good to see that. Indiana Pacers. We have some changes for them. Benedict Mathurin moves to shooting guard for a position change. Also, the overall goes -1 to a 79. Andrew Nembhard goes +1 to a 77. He gets position change to point guard. He ended the year playing point guard a good chunk of the games because Halliburton was out. Moving forward in a press conference, I believe it was a press conference if I'm not mistaken, Rick Carlisle said he likes Mathurin as a 2 moving forward. He likes Nembhard as a combo guard as well. So we'll see what that means moving forward. Aaron Nesmith also goes -1 to a 76 with the position change to small forward. He played most of the year playing power forward. He ended the year playing small forward. Jordan Nwora played power forward in the lineups. We'll see what they do, because they still have Chris Duarte on the team. You got Jalen Smith on the team. I think they just need to get more veteran presence. I think ultimately Buddy Hield probably gets traded somewhere in the offseason. We'll see, though. New Orleans Pelicans. Sad news with Zion. We kind of knew he wasn't going to come back. Too many games being played. I think Zion's probably ready to come back, but he just cannot stay in shape, according to the Pelicans. And then I think he's a little bit soured on New Orleans. Don't be shocked if something comes out by not this summer, but next summer, that he's requesting a trade out of New Orleans. What New Orleans could get on the injured star, who knows? Obviously a good haul if he's healthy, but if he's not and he's missing a ton of games, I don't know how that you can give up a huge package to get him, but we'll see. But rating changes. So Brandon Ingram goes +1 to an 87 overall. Really doing well to end the year. CJ McCollum goes -1 to an 84. Trey Murphy III goes +1 to an 80 overall. Trey Murphy III really showed out this season. Youngest player ever to finish 40% plus on three-point percentage and 90% plus on free throw percentage. What's up, Hugo? So good to see that there. Herb Jones goes +1 to a 79 overall. Really has been their defensive anchor on the perimeter for this season. We get Josh Richardson dropping 1 to a 75 overall. And then Najee Marshall gets a position change to small forward, and he goes -1 to a 75 overall as well. Position change, Jackson Hayes goes back to power forward. He played limited minutes at power forward to end the year again. So I think that's why the change was there. We have the Detroit Pistons. Little note on them. Dwayne Casey is no longer the head coach. He moved to the front office. We'll see who gets installed. I would not be shocked to see Charles Lee or Kenny Atkinson end up with this job. One of those two, since those are very valuable candidates for the kind of younger laden team, but also wants to build veterans. We'll see what happens. But anyway, position changes. And for anybody that's not noticing, any player teams that are not in the playoffs or the play-in have their positions or injuries removed. So you can now, when you play online, you can utilize those. For the ones that are in the play-in, like Zion still injured because New Orleans couldn't make the playoffs, so that's why those weren't removed. But rating changes. Jaden Ivey goes +1 to an 81 overall. -1 for James Wiseman to a 79. Isaiah Livers goes +1 to a 74. Position changes for Jared Rhoden to small forward, gets a bump +2 to a 69 overall. And then Buddy Boeheim back to shooting guard is a 68 overall. I thought here that Killian Hayes could get that bump up +1 because he had been playing well to end the season, but 2K thought different. Is what it is. Only one change for the Toronto Raptors, +1 to Pascal Siakam to an 87 overall. Raptors probably not going to keep Nick Nurse unless they can somehow get their way into the playoffs and then make some kind of run, which I doubt. We'll see, but this roster, overplaying guys' minutes, not managing the rotation great, things like that. Kind of tough to keep him there. It seems like the players checked out on him. We'll see, though, for sure. Houston Rockets also made a head coaching change. Steven Silas' contract was not renewed. They had a team option to renew that if they wanted to. So he was not officially fired. He just wasn't renewed. They're going to go looking at a bunch of candidates. We'll see who they hire. But only one position or rating change for them. +1 for Kevin Porter Jr. to an 81 overall. Willie Cauley-Stein was added to the roster as well last game of the season, so he's there. San Antonio Spurs, we get a +1 for Zach Collins to an 80 overall. We also see Trey Jones +1 to a 79 overall. No changes for the end of the roster guys. It looks like 2K decided that those end of the roster guys didn't really warrant any change. I thought Julian Champagnie should have got an update. He performed well enough over, the course of some games that he deserved it because he was averaging 13 points, 4 rebounds, 45% field goal percentage, 39 from 3 in 25 minutes. I thought he deserved definitely to get a bump, but 2K thought differently. So is what it is. Pop did name Zach Collins the starting center for next season, which I thought was kind of interesting considering, Wembanyama could come in, but I guess he would play power forward is my assumption. If he was to go to the Spurs, we'll see. Phoenix Suns, we get updates to them. Chris Paul, only 2 players updated. Chris Paul was one of them. To a +187 overall. And then Bismack Biyombo +2 to a 75 overall. Everything else stayed the same for Phoenix. I expect them to be in the Western Conference Finals, barring any injuries. Or at least I hope they are. Next up, Oklahoma City Thunder. We get some changes for them, ratings changes. -2 for Alexei Pokashevsky. Really performed badly coming back from injury. -2 to a 77 overall. Trey Mann finally gets bumped +1 to a 75 overall. I thought that should have been like that for a while. But luckily they got him in. And then we got a -1 for Jared Butler to a 73 overall. So Thunder will be interesting. If they can somehow get into the playoffs, that'll give them some experience. I don't think they make it, honestly, but next year I think they cash in some of their assets, get some veterans on the team mixed with some of the young guys. We'll see, though. Now, we get to the laughing stock of the NBA over the last couple of days, Minnesota Timberwolves. Obviously, we have the Rudy Gobert incident, punching Kyle Anderson. Kyle Anderson then coming out with a video saying they're going to have to make a decision this summer. He was not happy in the locker room. Then you have, of course, the most important incident. Jaden McDaniels breaks his hand punching a curtain, or what he thought was a curtain, not knowing that there was a concrete wall behind it, broke his hand, out for the rest of the year, obviously. Huge consequence to their hopes to get in the playoffs because he's their best defender. But let's go to the ratings. Only 2 changes. Naz Reid goes +1. He is out for the rest of the season. He went +1 to an 80 overall. And then we have Nickeil Alexander-Walker going -1 to a 74 overall. They changed Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but they didn't do anything to Austin Rivers, who was awful since the All-Star break. But, it is what it is. This team, we'll see Minnesota if they keep Chris Finch as the coach. They definitely can't get off of, the Gobert contract. Bring back the past. Yeah, man, I'm like TMZ. That's hilarious. Man, yeah, it's crazy. Like that, it was just that whole stuff with Minnesota couldn't get worse after you make that massive failure of a trade for Gobert. Towns has looked good though lately, so maybe him and Edwards can fuel them, and they can get the 8th seed. Because I still think the Lakers. I mean, they could beat the Lakers tonight, but I don't think so. I think the Lakers are gift wrapped. Second round of the playoffs at least, because Memphis they're playing doesn't have any big men to stop Anthony Davis. Let's see. Portland Trail Blazers. Some changes to them. Obviously, we heard the comments. Damian Lillard said, "Hey, we got to get help. Bring back Jeremy Grant." That basically means he's coming back if Lillard wants him. That bad. He's coming back. He wants veterans on the team, not young guys. What that means for Anthony Simons moving forward, I don't know. We'll see. But speaking of young guys, Shaedon Sharpe goes +2 to a 78 overall. We get Trendon Watford +1 to a 77 overall. Skylar Mays played really well to end the season as a starting point guard the last few games, +1 to a 72 overall. And then we get a couple players added. Justin Minyaya gets added. He was a good defensive player. Didn't show a lot offensively, but defensively he did well, very well for the Blazers the last couple games. And then Chance Comanche got added the last day of the season from the G League Stockton Kings. He actually played well in his debut. I think both Minaya and Jonathan Williams could be pieces to look for going forward. We'll see. Comanche got added on the hardship. When Mays re-signed, he was not on the hardship. The first time he signed, he was on the hardship. The second time, he did not sign on the hardship because they couldn't add him because they ended up getting players back. So they didn't sign Mays to that hardship the second time around, is my understanding. Golden State Warriors, one single change for them. Jonathan Kuminga +1 to the 278 overall. Really played well. Then we get the Washington Wizards. Interesting enough for the Wizards, they have Porzingis, as a restricted free agent. Kuzma probably is going elsewhere, even though they wanted to keep him. I don't know why they didn't trade him when they had the chance. It'll be interesting. This roster is not great around Bradley Beal, but you can't trade that massive contract. That's going to be tough. But let's get into the rating changes. Only two of them. Jelon Wright +1 to a 78 overall. And Corey Kispert also to a 78 +1 as well. I thought that Johnny Davis really turned his season around late in the year. Didn't shoot it that great, but showed flashes enough that he's, able to be in the rotation. Hopefully next year we'll see. Xavier Cooks finally got to play, looked okay. They've got him under contract for next year as well. No change for Quentin Jackson or Jay Huff. Both played well to end the season. I thought they at least could have, Huff could have got a bump to +1 to 68, but no such luck there. And that's it for the roster update. Oh, real quick, position changes. I forgot to mention for the couple of teams. Will Barton went to shooting guard there. Blazers, Skylar Mays is a point guard. His number is wrong. It should be 8 instead of 00. Then we also have Jonathan Williams to small forward. Previously was shooting guard. And then Johnny Davis, as I mentioned, only his secondary position got changed to small forward. You can see all the changes in written form over on Operation Sports. You'll see where it's roster update April 11th, the 10th rating update. That thread, and that's my thread that I put up. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please, everybody that's watching, can you click that like button right now for me? Go ahead and click it. It just takes you 2 seconds to like it. I'd really, really appreciate it. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, this is what I do every update. I dive into it. Player likeness updates, retro updates, ratings updates, all that stuff. I always cover it. Try to have complete coverage anytime anything notable happens with the 2K roster. Thanks everybody for this great year. You've really, really helped me out with your viewership. I hope it continues for 2K24 as far as the rosters go, things like that. Now, moving forward, if we get any playoff content updated, I'll have videos out. Any retro stuff, I'll have videos out. But what I plan to do is have my own roster out with the updated ratings and stuff like that. I think we may get one playoff roster update, but outside of that, I don't think we'll get a whole bunch. But that's just my opinion. I will obviously have a draft roster out, off-season roster out. I will keep everybody posted on that as well. Still working on my retro content as well, so want to be able to get the updated historic teams in the roster updated, and then I'll release it along with updated current roster ratings and stuff like that. Badge upgrades, signature upgrades, and stuff like that. It's going to take me a while, so probably a couple more weeks for that, maybe a week or two, hopefully, if I can get it done fast enough. Just depends on work and some other obligations. But, like I said, please, please, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hope everybody enjoys a amazing NBA playoffs. Play-in games start tonight, so tune in. Hawks tonight against the Heat. I think I've got the Heat. Lakers against Minnesota. I've got the Lakers winning that. That's it. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of your week. Enjoy the playoffs. And thank you for watching. Talk to you next time.